Well, hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Tawheed, Spiritual Unity of the Three Principles. And today we have amazing guests. And this is actually part two of educating children about the three principles in and out of school. And as a guest contributor, we've got here with us Krista Campbell of edtalks.com, My Guide Inside Comprehensive Curriculum. And we've got Catherine Jones from Back to the Fitra Mentoring Academy, and some amazing parents and teachers that will be sharing with us their wisdom in this episode. So, Harry, would like to take over and say a few words about this? I don't have kids yet, so I don't have anything to share.
But you better get working at it, Omar. It's
I'll definitely.
It's about time.
Let's do part three, Harry.
Okay, part three with Omar bringing his little baby. I think there we go. Yeah,
it'll be exciting.
It will be exciting, and it should happen too. As Omar mentioned, this is part two of educating kids. Either as parents, we have grandparents, teachers in the system, and it's a topic that's really dear to my heart, just like it would be dear to anybody's heart. The kids, of course, are our future and our feelings, and so I'm very interested to hear how this panel and Krista Campbell, who specializes in curriculum and helping parents and teachers to understand how to share truth as expressed through the three principles. And then a strong Muslim community of people, very wise people who are sharing in their own way and what it means to them. And I'll quickly just go through. We have most people, a lot of people, everyone is welcome to participate, of course, but what we're going to do is we're going to go around the panel and so on. And we have Catherine is introduced with Igra is, I think Igra is, oh, go away. Igra, my cat. Igra is from England, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I'm from Manchester, England.
Yeah, and then you'll introduce yourself and some of your background with regards to that. Anand is from Pakistan. Suad is a grandmother representing the elder senior class of people, and also a co-host when we have our discussions. But right now she's on the panel with her expressions and feelings regarding that. There's Daniela. She's in Australia. Catherine's in Australia, and nice to see you. And Yaye, I forget where you're from, but welcome.
I'm in the United States.
Oh, United States. And Sabi is.
Yes.
Please participate too, Sabi, because I know kids are really an important part of your life. Because every time I've seen you, you've always been with the kids and so on. And so what we're going to do, is we're going to let Krista kick it off, and then we're going to go through each of the panel, sort of like you would do at a conference type of thing. And then hopefully we get into something what we would call stimulating an original thought with regards to the kids and so on and so on. So Krista, as the, and everybody is free to participate. Yeah. So Krista, I don't know, we haven't talked about what you should introduce and talk, but just give a general, not so much about your company and what you do, but more your approach to with the kids, with the teachers, and how you see it being.
You just sit in, you said.
Oh. Okay, Krista, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm on the west coast of Canada. It's a beautiful fall day here. We have the sun shining. We're happy for that. And the children are still in school, and in a week or so they have winter break. Every Friday I work with my two grandchildren that live just a few kilometers down the road. One is 11 and one is 14, and just supporting their schoolwork. And actually with the boy, I'm using the My Guide Inside curriculum. It's really fun to read the stories together and discuss things. And his grandpa is there as well and joins in. It's really a special treat for us. So, and now I'm just getting my criminal record check done so that I can go and volunteer in the schools. Because of COVID, we're allowed as volunteers to be outside in the classroom. Soon that will change, I'm sure, but we're so happy to be able to volunteer again in the schools. So this morning I was speaking with, I got up very early to speak with some folks in India. For me, it was very, very early. For them, it was, of course, very late in the evening. And one of the teachers had a very good question about this approach. And is there a different level for the teachers, depending on what level of child or teenager you're working with? And the answer is no. It's very, very simple what we share with the teachers. And what we share can be applied to, of course, ourselves. That's the most important thing, is that we see it for ourselves, and that we can share it with any age. It's all so simple. And I really love that about the three principles. Also, of course, I'm speaking to people in India. They work in 3 different schools, and I'm here in the west coast of Canada. And it's just such a pleasure, as Harry and Omar are doing with this podcast. We're starting to really get this feeling of the global community. And of course, cultures and traditions are rich and wonderful, but we're really focusing on what's universal. What are we all sharing that applies to each of us across the board? So as far as what is it about educating kids? Well, you know, I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent, I'm a teacher, I'm also a teacher consultant. I think the main thing that I've seen throughout my many years, since 1975, I've been using these principles in my work in schools. I think the number one thing really is that we offer the children in front of us our presence. And by that, I mean that we see them, see the beauty in them, see them for who they truly are. And it may be simple, as we all know, to accept someone as they are in the moment is so powerful. It's such a rest for the ego. If someone is struggling and they're constantly defending themselves, when someone they trust accepts them in the moment, it's just a start of a new trajectory. So that's what I would say about what is the most important, is just being with them with no agenda, and just sharing a loving feeling and being interested in whatever it may be. Sometimes for a kid, it's their special running shoes or the game they love, or an activity that they're very good in. It doesn't really matter the content. Of course, as we all here on this podcast share, it's about that loving feeling and accepting a human being with dignity and love. And that helps them on their journey to live a life full of potential.
Oh, that's beautiful, Chris. I totally agree with that. It's like everything in life. The emptier you are, the easier it is to feel the beauty and love that all these kids have and the uniqueness that they have. I was once, when I went into my daughter's class, I was surprised. Oh, they wanted to talk to me like person to person, not me telling them what to do. and so on. Okay, I promised I wouldn't talk too much. So before I wind up, so that was beautiful, and we have that feel. So how do you see that, Catherine? And you're free to talk about whatever you want. And then we're just going to go around different people and so on.
Sure. So yeah, totally agree with Krista with everything. And I'm also a parent, a grandparent, and a teacher. So I think we're very similar in probably our views. And the way I see it is children are just so resilient and amazing and intelligent and brilliant and compassionate and all of those lovely things. And what I love about working with the children is offering them the opportunity of seeing that in themselves, because they are faced with a world that's always telling them what to do and telling them how to do it better and telling them that they're wrong and then grading them against others, that they lose sight of that. And so I just love helping them regain sight of how amazing they are. And I also love working with parents and teachers to help them remember how amazing children are, because I think as adults we get so caught up in the behavior and the behavior management that we start to see the child as the problem, and as soon as we do that we lose compassion and we stop seeing the human being that's in front of us. So I really love working with parents and teachers to help them see that, so that they spend less time criticizing and pointing and judging children, and rather show up, guiding them or helping them learn how they're already guided, that they don't actually need us adults to tell them what to do, although they do need us for, learning certain things that they still haven't learnt yet. But we can show up as the educator in children's lives rather than the dictator, I think, which is what tends to happen a lot of the time. So I recently had the opportunity to work with a school in Lebanon, and so just talking about working with different schools or teachers in different parts of the globe. And that was amazing, because what's happening in Lebanon, there was the morale of the whole staff had really dropped, because their salary in the last 12 months or so is now only worth about 10% of what it was worth a year ago, and they're all struggling to live, and the kids can't get to school because they can't even afford petrol to be driven to school, and half the time the electricity's off, so they can't join online, and the teachers are distressed because the kids that do show up are about 2 years behind the level they're meant to be. And of course, when adults get into that type of distress, they stop being able to see the children as the beautiful children they are and be present in the moment and just go with the flow with them and just do what they can in the moment. And so it was just lovely to have the opportunity to help them have some hope back, so that they can go back to being who they really wanted to be, which is the educators of kids. So I guess, yeah, I'm totally in the same page as Krista with all of that.
That's beautiful. As an educator, one of the things I love about education is the student can jump past you, and that's the potential of these kids. Or I love myself, but it's so wonderful to watch the springboard that can happen with them. It's incredible. Igra, could you introduce yourself, because a lot of people don't know it, just a little bit of background about yourself, and then a little whatever.
Hi, so I am Ikra. I live in Manchester, UK. And I am, my biggest qualification is I'm a mom of three, 11-year-old, 8-year-olds, and 3-year-olds. Professionally, I have worked for 7 years with children from birth till preschool age, and working with parents on parenting skills, and child development. And through I got married quite young, and I had children fairly young as well. So I have been on this trajectory of, knowing the child development and what's the best way to raise a child, and the behavior management and the development, what Catherine touched upon. And I was reading all parenting books and watching Super Nanny. I don't know if anybody has watched that, where you learn the parenting techniques and putting them in naughty corner and controlled crying technique and whatnot. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't the most serene parent, and my children weren't the most well-behaved children, despite from reading those psychology and parenting books and everything. And I, in this year, beginning of this year, I came across this understanding. And retrospectively, I can now reflect upon my approach, that it was very much like, what's wrong with the children? How do I need to fix them? So it was very an outside-in approach. So that would make me, give me that certificate of being a good parent, or being able to maybe enjoy the parenting. But now I realize that it is the inside out. The more I am touched by this understanding, and the more I show up from this state of monitoring, or maybe being reflective on and observing my own thoughts, and just gauging where am I showing up from, and the more I see, I am like like a mirror that children see themselves in. And I notice the difference in their demeanor, and we do talk about emotions as well, and emotional literacy, and in terms of I see you angry, and how emotions do there. I mean, the best thing about this understanding is it uses a lot of metaphors and examples, and they're so easy for children to understand. And seeing, say, emotions maybe like, oh, they're like clouds. If you see them, it's okay to get angry, and if you don't hold on to them, they will come and go, and you watch yourself, and then once they are calmer, they do buy into these things, and they see mummy showing up in that state as well. So yeah, that's my biggest message. I think it's not the child that we need to fix, it's us who need to show up in that way, and then it will be the ripple effect that you will see around. And I'm not saying that I have mastered that and I'm there. I think Uma would know, I do still caught up into sometimes I say, yeah, no, this is not my thinking. They really, do this, and I get worked up. But then when I am in a better state and I say, oh my goodness, I really worked myself up into that thought spiral, and made so much and gave so much meaning to that event. But I think the more I catch myself and see myself, I am starting to get better, but I am on a journey.
That's beautiful. Not only dealing.
I want to ask Ikra to share with us, sorry, Harry, to share her story with her daughter. That would be really powerful to share, Ikra. Would you like to share that? Would you be comfortable sharing that? The one that you had.
I know we've got a wonderful panel, and more mostly wisdom would show up or come up from other people as well. But from my daughter, I mean, any particular incident? I mean, she is going into her teen years, and as people who have experience would imagine. I mean, if she says something or does something, I used to take it very, very personal, and just giving so much meaning, and I don't deserve that to be talked that way. I do so much, and you add so much meaning, and just a simple incident, you can add so much to that and make so much for yourself, and you can get into that thought spiral. So many incidents during the past years, and now reflecting back, I can see it wasn't as much as I gave meaning to that thing. And those, yeah, I don't remember any particular incident, because during that time in that session, I bring that problem that was massive. Whole hour, I would talk about it, I would cry about it, and then once you move on to a better state, a calmer state, and then you think of yourself, you know what, you really worked yourself up there. And I gave, and you, it's like that snowball effect that we make to certain events, and we gave so much meaning and make it so massive for us.
You know, one of the things you brought up is as you've gone deeper into yourself, Igra, you're able to talk about different topics with your kids. And Heidi, although she's not, and I shared recently, she as she's calmed down with her 4-year-old son, she mentioned about talking to him about God, like, which was a topic she would never have thought about talk. Can you, Heidi, just for a second, can you just say what that, how that felt, that pleasure you felt when you were able to discuss with your 4-year-old son about God? I just was touched by it when you mentioned it.
Yeah, hold on one second.
She reminds me I better put up my Christmas decorations.
I just had to
I love the
shut-
lighting.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that was Jasper and I put the Christmas stuff up today. Yeah, I just had to shut the door because I don't want Jasper to hear me. He's asleep, but anyway. So what was I saying yesterday? Well, the thing is, what I started talking to him about is about, you know, God and God being in us and everywhere, like in the leaves and the trees. And it's, you know, and he asked questions like, has God got a beard, you know, because, and it's funny that he should say that, because I used to think God had a beard and he had loads of grey hair, and he was like, does he have a beard and what does he look like? And I just explained that he doesn't have, I mean, I don't say form, but he doesn't have a body, he doesn't have a face, you can't see him, he's like, he's magical, and I use that word a lot, magical. And you know, I just, yeah, I mean, if you'd have asked me 10 years ago or 5 years ago that I would be having that conversation with my son, I would have said, don't be silly, because I didn't ever look at it like that. You know, it just wasn't like that. But since the 3 principles, you know, I see God as being something much more, what's the word? Just something that seems much more real to me than when I was growing up. You know, God was this, you know, this thing that you prayed to, and it was, I didn't have a good opinion of God because, you know, stuff that happened when I went to school, you know, but that was then anyway. So it's really, I'm really glad that I can bring this new feeling into the life of my son, because, you know, how great is that? You know, very different to my upbringing, very different opinion of God. So that's brilliant. I feel good about that.
You know, and what's interesting to that, besides the gratitude you felt about, you know, to being able to talk about it, is my daughter now is 40 years old, and every 2 or 3 times a year, we have what I would call a deep discussion about life. And she said, she always finishes by saying, "Oh, Dad, I've treasured these discussions that we have. It's such a treat." Only 2 or 3 times a year, and I treasure it. And so you're not only laying the foundation for the 4-year-old, you're laying the foundation when he's going to be 40 years old, and you're going to be having these advanced discussions, interesting discussions. And generally speaking, it's just 1-to-1, you know, just that 1-to-1 where the 2 of you, because if other people come in, they're going to talk about something else. And that feeling that you expressed, Heidi, is the same feeling I had with my 40-year-old daughter. Was, and it brought us closer together, obviously, when you do that type of thing. So I guess, Danielle, you're next, and then we'll just work our way around. Go ahead. Just a quick introduction for people, just a simple little quickie.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Daniela, and I'm a mum of one, but three. I have other stepchildren. And I teach, like, my understanding of this, like the inside out paradigm, I share mostly with adults. However, with my son, and now with Catherine, we're doing sort of teaching kids as well, which is great. And what I've noticed is that when we're with the children, when the light bulb goes on, when they connect those dots, like just seeing their weight of their thinking just fall away, it's amazing. And one of the little boys that we're teaching, he hasn't had that weight on his shoulders, and the things that come out of his mouth is just amazing. Like, it's just beautiful. It's, wow, this is an 8-year-old and he's talking like an adult. It's just beautiful to see. It's amazing. And I remember my son having those insights as well, like when he was young. Oh, he's still young, but when he was a lot younger. These days, with my son, it's a little bit different, but it's amazing to watch, when they are connected to somebody, that magic that comes out of their mouths is just phenomenal. It's amazing. And to see that is beautiful. And recently, one of my son's friends who's going through some sort of issues, I'll just say issues. And I said to his mum, look, if you want, I can go through with him, my guardian side. And we haven't actually done anything from there as yet, because we've just been living in the moment and, enjoying our time together. It's like, so it's been like the company of my son and him, who are friends. And then I get in on the fun as well, because that's just fun. And and just to see again that magic, how he's just being comfortable and confident again, rather than all his thoughts, worrying him down and, spiraling down. It's just beautiful to see his nature in that, in that good space. It's just amazing. His mum told me, because he stayed not long ago, there's some issues, at night time. I said, that's all right. I forgot all about it, literally. And then she asked, how did it go? I said, oh yeah, I forgot about that. He was fine, because I wasn't worrying about the problems. I was just worrying. No, I wasn't even worrying, actually. I was just, creating that environment that he was feeling, safe and comfortable. And that naturally, brings about, okayness that evening. And, he knew I was there for he needed me. It's just magical to see that, because I wasn't worrying about the behavior, the symptoms or anything like that, and just seeing him for who he is. And I think that really helps, because, as parents as well, we tend to get caught up in those, what's wrong with them, I've got to fix them and all the rest of it. But when we take that out, we just see them for them. And, that worry flurry that sort of hangs over the kids' heads, am I doing everything okay? It sort of falls to the wayside. So, yeah, I thought I'd share that.
One of the things while you were talking, and I experienced it with my grandkids, like you're going through a lot of intense experiences with the kids. They're more, it's a little more intense than, just hanging out and having a few beers or whatever,
Yeah.
Type of thing. And I found that I had a problem being with my grandkids. I was so tired after, like I loved the session, but I was so exhausted. And I just want to share with everyone, I took that into consideration when I was with them, that I would make sure I rested and took it easy enough so that when it was finished, I could go on with my life without taking a whole long nap and exhaustion and stuff, because I didn't really like that feeling of being wiped out type of thing. So you bring up a good point. There is a lot of flowing and stuff, and we care so much for them. We love them so much. We're giving everything we have, but it can, and I found that was very important. Catherine, did you want to introduce people? Is that what you were suggesting?
Oh, no, I was just letting you know privately that who was here, so you knew. But I can tell you, we've got Aisha and Bilkisu, and Ray Katz is actually Asmao, and they're all from Nigeria.
Okay.
And we've got Janine and Pamela are here from Australia. These are all back to the Fitra people, and Yay is also, so they're part of our tribe. So I was just going to let you know who was here.
Well, we're really glad to have you. I mean,
and Janine's been teaching the Spark program in a school for our Islamic version of Spark for the last couple of years, and she's also the one that is working with me on creating our own Islamic curriculum for kids.
That's beautiful. It's interesting you bring that up, because when I taught a course sort of similar to what Krista's talking about to Indigenous kids, they wanted Indigenous stories, they wanted Indigenous language, they want it, et cetera, and they wanted it in their own language too, to be, type of thing, and it changes the context of the feeling in regards to that. I actually found with the Indigenous, they didn't like the non-Indigenous stories that much. It didn't relate to their reality type of thing, type of stuff. Well, thanks. Well, Suad, you've been waiting patiently. Suad's a co-host in our general discussions with Omar and myself, and a grandparent from Morocco, has a practice in California. That's your introduction. Just go and talk what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Harry, for this beautiful show. I love it. And it's holding space for everyone to share insights. Thank you. Yeah, for me, parenting, it's a divine responsibility first. In Quran and in Islam, it's a divine responsibility between the hands of the parents. So the more we take care of our children, the more we have good people, the more we have good with faith and with responsibility too. So when I was raising my kids, I didn't know about three principles. I didn't know. I was a philosophy teacher, and I was in my mind, and I was raising them in just to fix them, to bring them to this. In my mind, I thought that I am responsible for them in this life. So I have to fix them and to give them the better things that I have to make them good people. But this is not working at all, because I was in my mind, I was in my thoughts, I was in my conditions and my conditional love. But now that I am grandmother, I am working with my son to avoid these mistakes. I'm holding space for him, and I'm talking with him about 3 principles so he can raise his kids in a new way of unconditional love, way that this divine gift as human being, it's go hand by hand with the divine responsibility. So the more he will hold space for unconditional love for his kids, the more he will make good people. So I was sharing with him before 3 principles, I was sharing with him NLP and all these tools and tips. And he was, no, mom, this is so complicated for my kids. And now when I am with 3 principles, I will start sharing with him 3 principles. And he said, Mom, this is so beautiful. And it's Quran. I said, yes, this is Quran and this is 3 principles and they are the same. And Quran, it's full of 3 principles. And every day or every week when we meet for some couscous here in my house, we discuss ayat from Quran and we try to see where is the 3 principles. And we find 3 principles everywhere in the Quran. And we find consciousness everywhere in the Quran. And I am fascinated that my grandson will be in this raised with these 3 principles. I am so happy for him. So a lot of mistakes will be avoided from my son to his kids by 3 principles. So I love what I am sharing here, and I love what I am sharing with my son too. So I encourage all the parents, Muslim, non-Muslim, just to go with 3 principles, because this is the most safe space for everyone, for us as parents and grandparents, and for the new generation, like new kids. If we can help them to have this understanding in their mind, we will avoid many mistakes for them as new generation. Thank you for listening.
Beautiful. Yeah, very beautiful and very true, of course. It's sort of, if we're not afraid to talk about love, it turns out it's quite a beautiful topic. It really is. I asked also, where's Anam, from Pakistan. You can introduce yourself, because and so on. And by the way, all the other ladies who are here, we'd like to hear from you too, just to let you know. And Janine certainly would love to hear about you sharing the Spark program and what you're seeing as well in the school systems and so on, and what you're doing with Catherine. Go ahead, Anand.
Thank you for having me in your show, Harry.
Not
Hi,
my show.
everyone. Or Omar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am Anam and I'm from Pakistan. I have 1 kid. He's about 9 years old. And the way I see it, it's not about educating them. It's about educating your own self. When we are educated about inside out, when we would connect with our children from our inside, their heart would woke up as well. When we are connecting them from our minds, from our egos, their egos would triggered on as well. So it's all start from us. Like, I just want to share an example. Recently, for the very long time, I'm having some issues regarding marital issues. So my son was disconnected from me. And he just wants to, all the time, he just wants screen. So he would just see something. Sometimes cartoon, if you would off that television, he would shift into the game. I thought that he's addicted to screen. And I just start believing it. And then I start working in a sense, like I would start working on my own self, that what's really going on. There is something missing in it. So I just raised my conscious level. I haven't took any step at that particular moment, so that I would just go and attend some screen addiction type of things. But just I raised my conscious level at that point. And now, when I reflected upon all that things, it was just a connection he needs. And now he is the one, he will just watch YouTube or screen for just 1 hour. And it's absolutely fine for him. He is absolutely good to go. Even though these days, I'm just trying to shift him towards other things. If the way he was using phone for 1 hour, I'm just trying to shift him towards nature. We would go for some walks, so that he would just things that are inside him, the frustration and the hard feelings that are going on in him, he would just put that out in that way. And yeah, it's such a lovely journey. As I always go to Catherine in our session with Catherine, like, he's doing this, what I should do. And always Catherine was like, things would come out and you would know about it naturally, what you have to do at what time. Just give yourself that space. Just be patient. And yeah, I'm so grateful that now is the moment when he's on that stage and I'm on that stage as well, where I can connect with him from heart to heart rather than from head to head. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear your example, because I don't think there's a mother or father or grandparent who doesn't struggle with how much their kid should watch the screen and video and so on, because it is interesting. And my kids, their dad is an IT expert, and they each have iPads and every technological thing, and they talk to Google, and it plays music, and it does all this stuff, and they love it. And it obviously it brings a lot of peace and stuff. But of course, if they're in it too long, they also get red in the face and caught up in reality. So that is interesting to hear, that a Pakistani, for me, a Pakistani son would have the same problem as a Canadian son, or grandson in this case, So
yeah.
Good luck with it. It's a tough one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about learning the inside out paradigm rather than to be outside in. It's all about inside out. When we would be in an inside out zone, things would just get in a flow and in a and I realized that they're naturally resilient towards things. They are patient towards things. And they're full of positive feelings or positive words, I would say. They're full of it. They're full of energy. They just need a space. And now I believe that there is no such thing like addiction. They just need a connection.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Beautiful. I think from now on, just raise your hand who feels like sharing next. And Krista, you're free, by the way, to interject or whatever as well. Don't, I'm just, but now I think we could just, whoever feels like talking, sharing of their experience, I think we can get into that type of feeling. Someone raise their hand or just start yapping away, type of thing.
Yeah, Harry, I love the idea that Anam said, and you said that the problem for kids is universal. I love this idea that, as we are human beings and we are the same, and we are made from the same energy, so our problems must be the same. Our conditions must be the same. Just, in our mind, we make things different, but we are the same, and our core beliefs are the same. We believe that we are energy having this human experience. So the problems are the same all over. So we have to have this idea about how to, not to solve, there is not solving, just overcoming and understanding life from another perspective. This is how we want to help people, parents and grandparents, to understand that there is another way to overcome this kind of universal problems. Yeah.
I love that.
I can vouch for that, because my parenting students, as in the parenting program that I teach since about 2014, have been global, across the globe, every corner of the globe. And it's always the same things. Because we're all human, right?
Yes,
it doesn't matter where we grew up.
Yeah.
We're all struggling with the same illusions.
And even that is an insight. Like to be honest, the greatest part about being on the show with Omar and Suad is I have exposure to all these different countries that I normally don't have. And it's very enriching. It's very, very enriching. You are enriching my spirit, my soul, and my mind, but mostly my heart.
My heart, yes. We are connected through the heart. There is no connection through the mind. We are connected through the level of consciousness and through the heart. Yes.
Absolutely. We have Maya's hands raised. Would you like to go next, Maya? Would you like to share something? Can you unmute yourself?
Hello, everyone. This is Maya speaking from Norway.
Where's
this is my the first time I joined this kind of discussion. Yeah. So it's really inspiring to hear from other parents that we are having the same problems, and that this insight really helps in connecting with our kids. And I have been doing this for 1 month, and already I feel that there's a lot of power in this inside out understanding. And the deeper I get into understanding myself and feeling the connection to the inner light and the love, I feel that I can connect deeper to my family. I have 2 kids. They are 5 years old, a boy, and a girl. She is 9, about to be 10. So she is arguing a lot. And before this, I'd used to get caught up in discussions with her. But now I'm more like, I listen, I take her perspective, and then afterwards, I'll tell her what we're gonna do, and she will listen to me. So it's becoming more easy. And I think that this, right, I'm new in this. It's been a month journey. And I think that that the more I practice this kind of living, everything will become easier. And I feel that I see them in a different way. I can see beyond the frustration, beyond the whatever is there. It looks like a conflict. It's more than that. It's like an opportunity to connect. That's how I see it.
And
That's it.
the more you're yourself, the biggest mistake I did with the kids is I started to get preachy about the 3 principles. Didn't work.
So yes, about that. So is there really anything you can preach and will it make sense to them? Like, I try to tell them something, and maybe they get it, maybe they don't. I think it's better just to practice it, and to use that love to make the connection, and they will feel that I am different, and they will change also in a way.
In their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In their own way, right.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, Janine, since Catherine introduced you, you're forced to say something. You can blame Catherine for that, and go ahead and just share whatever comes to your mind. Type of
I was thinking about that movie where the psychologist and the client, and in the end of the movie, it's actually the client who's more inside out and more in tune with everything than the psychologist, because I'm still struggling with my children, and I think it's because I'm not really, like I'm good at school. I'm very inside out at school, where there's not a lot of conflict and all of that, but in the house with my own children, I really need to build that love and that patience and that listening. So yeah. But what I loved what Catherine said about when you're with the children and how you're really just pointing them back to who they are and making them conscious of that. Like, if I had, like those gifts of knowing that we're confident, resilient, for somebody I remember when Catherine told me that we're innately patient, like that changed everything for me. Just impatience just dropped. And so to let kids in on that secret at a young age, I mean, that's just awesome. And for them to see it as just truth, I think. And I really love at a younger age, like I think once they're teens, there's so much self-image. And I mean, I know in the community people have a lot of success, but having been in the school system, it was tough. There's so much stuff there for them to drop, and it was just glimpses of connection, and I think that one-on-one connection sometimes is so powerful. Like even when when I heard my name was going to be introduced, like in any other community there's always so much thinking around that, but in this community, because I know you, Harry, and I know that direct heart, pure, clean way of connecting with others, it's so powerful. And to be in that environment and to create that environment with the kids, that they get to experience that and to talk about it, and it becomes conscious, like they're consciously aware of all of that stuff. It's so beautiful to set that grounding for the human being. MashaAllah.
Thank you, Janine. So we have Aisha's hand. Would you like to go next, Aisha?
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. So great to be here again. And like I can say, the 3 principles is something I think that I think all of us, should I say, rediscover, because when we meet it, we find, like we connect so much with it, because I see it as the natural state of being. Because it makes so much sense, and like I think it feels so right. So in my parenting, I have 4 children from 19 to 8 years. And so last year, I was so worried because it seemed that everything was just going so wrong. Two of my sons were always fighting, and I would try to mediate, but things were going so wrong, and I would get so worried, I would get so worried and think about how am I going to get them, to get out of that. So one of the things Catherine said to me, I needed to work, like everything was all right. I just needed to, let the thinking fall away, let all the fears fall away, and everything, everything would be all right. If I have one son, the younger one, like the two boys, one is 15 and one is 13, and they're always fighting. The younger one teases a lot. And I was also worried because the older one will be so violent, he can't take the teasing. And Catherine said, it means that even the younger one is off track if he's constantly doing that. And it doesn't matter when I try to come to mediate, trying to find out who is right, who's wrong, said that isn't what matters. If they are both on track, then all that is going to fall away. So just this week, when we're going to school, in the car, and I see how they're relating. And it's so wonderful because I didn't have to do anything, just let all the fears and the thinking fall away. And for them, it just seemed that, that sort of radiated to them. And so I even had to ask, because I was curious, I wanted to know what they thought about what has actually happened. I said, last year you were always fighting. What happened? Why are you no longer fighting? And they didn't have an answer. The one that he said, I don't know, it just stopped. I just stopped. And the older one feels like he was patient and that's why things stopped. And so, but the important thing is that there's peace all around. And even when they have disagreements, it's much more peaceful now. And, so nothing really needed to be done except let all the thinking fall away, and everyone is connecting, like more like, is it say fitra to fitra? How would you say, Senela? Like with the, so, I'm just so, like, it's just so peaceful now and everything, and everyone just seems to get along.
It's amazing how that works. Like you can't explain that to people. You experience it. It's like talking about silence. You can't describe it, but it is a fact. It is a reality called whatever it's called.
Yeah. It is a reality, and when we think, oh, there's this thing, I would say I overthink too much. I'm not, it says reality is created by our thoughts, but then it would seem in the past it would seem so impossible. How can reality be created by my thoughts? How can simply changing my thinking change things around me? But it is changing, and it seems even that sort of radiates. And so it seems just by me stopping being so much in my thoughts, like going with the flow, it seems that everything and everyone else around me, it seems it radiates that way as well. Yeah.
Just the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
So simple, obvious,
yeah.
Obvious.
So great.
What I loved about what you said is, with the thinking and stuff, everybody thinks they have to change their thinking because they have a bad this or that. By not getting over involved with your thinking, the beauty appeared with your kids and so on. Yeah. I think Sid would call that wisdom. That's what he means, accessing your own wisdom. Just not doing. type of thing. I have learned more about not doing than I have learned from doing. And yet, if we don't share, which is a doing, we don't grow. But it's first what you talked about. You talked about healing in every aspect, Asha. Healing of addiction, healing of anxiety, healing of mental health issues. What you talked about is the total answer and package to all healing in every situation. And it's so simple, yet not so simple. Yeah.
Can I just add something, Harry? As I'm listening to these beautiful voices, what is occurring to me is, paradoxically, we want children to be like us, very wise, intelligent, but actually when we become the way to go for it is for us to be childlike, because no baby is, you won't see baby depressed or having anxiety. They are just observers of life, and they just live moment to moment. And so, I mean, they might be crying one moment, but then as they move on to the next moment, they will drop the previous. But we as adults, we carry on the baggages of life, the messages, the conditions that Suad was talking, or the stories, and we carry that backpack with us, and that gets heavier with life. And that makes those filters that we see life through them. And then we want our the children to be like us. But actually, I think the wisdom is to be like them, to be the observers of life.
Yeah, it's like when a baby comes into the world, everybody's face blossoms with, another angel has appeared in our perspective. And I wonder when they stop being angels and being pains in the rear end type of thing,
Actually, Harry, we do that. This is the beauty of the awareness.
I know that.
The baggage that we carry, just now we put them on them. And this is the beauty of awareness. We are aware that we carry something that is not a bliss. So we have to drop all the veils and just go like this with them. Yeah, this is the beauty of the awareness.
Yeah. Suad, would you like to share the video that you told me about? You're muted.
If you can give me the.
Oh yes, sure.
Sharing?
I'll do that. In the meantime, we will just have someone else sharing their insights or something that you want to share with us. Please unmute yourself. Here we go.
There you go. So I want you to watch this beautiful girl. There you go.
Thanks. 1, keep your bad thinking to yourselves.
Yeah.
3 advisor things. 1, keep your bad thinking to yourselves. 2, remember that you can change your thinking about the other person of what they're doing. And 3, remember you don't always have to be happy. You can have the different thoughts and you can feel them.
Really helpful, I think, for people to know those. Very good advice, Ishka. Thank you. It's been brilliant talking to you this morning.
Yeah, so this is the girl who's sharing 3 principles. Her understanding about what grandpa taught her about the 3 principles. And it was so beautiful for her as 11 years girl understanding the 3 principles. And I love it. And I want to share with you this beautiful moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Suad. Thank you for sharing that with us. So does anyone got anything to share
Yeah, I would like to go on.
Please do, Anna.
Yeah, so as just Ikra said that they are like naturally go in a flow. Just like today, my son had a tantrum, and after some moments, he just said that, "Mama, I don't want you to be here in my room. I just need some time." And I allowed him to have him space. After some moments, I just slept on, and he came back, and under my blanket he was putting some sweets on, and after one on another he was continuously putting on. And when I woke up, he asked me, "Mama, have you seen that sweets in your near your pillow?" And I said that, "Oh, you put that on." So yeah, they have their own love language to show us. When we are in our own space, we would know that what they are doing. And yeah, if I would, I was just thinking, yeah, I need to connect, I need to talk about that event with him. But I think he already got that he was just in his own thinking at that time. And the way he did after that, he realized it. So yeah, they are beautiful. They are so patient towards things, and they know what they have to do at what time. If I would just sit with him at that same moment, why you did this, why you did this. No, it's just naturally, once his thinking goes on, he just came back into his neutral position. And that's such a beautiful thing that happened. Yeah.
And one of the things that I have seen as I've gotten older is there are different parenting styles depending on who you are and the type of nature you have and so on. If there's love and wisdom in the sharing, the style of being disciplined or a little bit more lenient doesn't really matter. It's the wisdom and the love of that sharing. And so I have a style with kids, which is I play a lot with them in a lot of goofing around and a lot of and I'm very lenient, but when I'm strict, I'm really strict. You know, but because I'm so loving and easygoing, they take it quite easily. But they know.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not fooling around type of, yeah. Omar's kind of like my little kid, you know, so, you know, I have to burp him and, you know, and all this stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But it's a little like that. You must be who you are in this whole thing. There's no way of being a perfect parent except being yourself. And when you find just being yourself, you love it, and the kids love it. And so not only are the kids angels, it turns out so are we. You know, it just, we forgot a little bit. You know?
And now I know that I have a second father in Canada.
All right. That's it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. But
I think that's a really good point, Harry, because a lot of parents are, you know, very self-judgmental around
that's
their
exactly
style.
Go ahead.
And I think the key thing around parenting is to not make your children responsible for your feelings. And if you let them off the hook and you're having a bad day, they're quite resilient through it. Like if I have a bad day now, my kids know it's not about them. And so they don't take it personally, they don't feel responsible. And so they're actually quite resilient. And that just came through expressing out loud what was going on for me. So if they caught me crying, I would just say to them, I'm just having some sad thoughts right now. And so they didn't have to feel responsible to cheer me up. Or if I was grumpy, I would just say, look, having some grumpy thoughts right now, so don't worry about it. If I'm snappy, it's not you. And just letting them off the hook like that, they can be resilient through all of our faulty patches. Not that it's faulty, we're just being human, but you know, from a judgmental perspective, you might think, oh, I'm not being a good parent because I'm not being cheerful all the time, or I'm not being on top of it all the time. But we can't be, we're human. You know, we have our moments. And kids are amazing. I don't have to really tell them anymore that it's just my thinking. They know it is, so they're okay.
Yeah, beautiful story. Yeah, and you see how Catherine shared her feelings when she's crying, and she's not running away from it. That's her style. She's very open to it. Someone else might be a little more uncomfortable with that, and so that's their style. It's not a right or wrong, but when Catherine is being herself, she's not running away from. She's not fearful in the way she's bringing up her kids. And that's the thing I want to emphasize. Don't teach your kids fear. Please don't teach them fear. Or prejudice. Those two things are just not in their vocabulary unless you teach it to them. I had once, Krista, an experience where I asked the kids in the classroom, what's stress? Not one kid, grade 2 this time, not one kid knew what stress was, but they knew their parents had a lot of it. And I suddenly realized, oh, there's no such thing as stress. It's adults teach kids about stress. It just blew my mind.
And that you just blew my mind as well, Harry. So we have I think we have a question or from Maya or something to share. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just thinking about sharing something from the past, and I used to be a mom who was I used to be very bad with the kids. Like I would shout to them, I would do violent things to them. And I went through a whole program with some psychologists that should help me with managing this anger management. And they call it Stop the Violence or something. And I attended that course for half a year, maybe. And I was actually changing. I was learning it like intellectually. But that was so funny to see how all the things they were teaching, I knew like intellectually that it was right, and I felt that it was right to be not for the kids to take responsibility of my own feelings, of my anger in the moment, to take it back, to take the responsibility back. But the second it made sense to me, it was when I had my first insight with the 3 principles. That is when I finally felt, wow, this is where I can really forgive everything. Because I have the love, I am the master of everything that I experience. This will actually end the violence without a course, without even a program. It stops here. And that was such a relief for me.
Well, that's freedom. That's
That was a relief. That was such a feeling of freedom and of that great feeling of forgiveness and I don't know. That's the difference between normal psychology.
You're cutting off, Maya. We
thing,
don't hear you
right?
properly.
but
The truth.
but it's beautiful story, a very, very beautiful and touching story, and it's a story of transformation, and that's what the three principles are about: transformation. It's beautiful to see.
Absolutely.
Chris,
Thanks for sharing, Maya.
it looks like we're coming to closer to the end of this very interesting discussion and so on. We're free to talk about anything, but maybe Krista, since you were, and maybe Catherine, the two of you could sort of sum up kind of what you're sort of felt or see here.
I'm unmuted, so I'll go ahead. It's so beautiful to hear everyone's experiences and hear the stories of, as Harry says, transformation. It's just very, very heartwarming. And also knowing that we're around the world and that we have this universal love that we can share. A few things come to mind. I early on heard the word magic again and again from folks, and there's actually a book called Ordinary Magic, and it's really pointing to the fact that being resilient and being able to feel secure and full of love and confidence is a natural part of being human. And we here are pointing people to that. And this, as you're saying, Maya, it was not a program or this or that. It just ended because you saw something new. It's funny, when I was before the principles, I used to think freedom was running away from my responsibilities, and that was freedom, was just avoiding everything. And then when you have an insight and you see that taking on your responsibilities, and I mean being responsible for what I'm thinking, and then you get total freedom. Then you're the master of your destiny. You don't have someone making you mad or making you happy. You're in charge. And to teach children this, it gives them that freedom and responsibility at such a young age. It's so beautiful. And then also I was reminded, for some reason, my little grandson, when I was writing some curriculum for kids about the three principles, and we're in his backyard and we're chatting away, and he says to me, yeah, I can see where the brain would get annoyed if it had to do everything. We should let wisdom do its part. But I've really enjoyed this so much. So thank you, Harry and Omar and everyone. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and thanks for coming, by the way.
Pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, Catherine, unaccustomed as you are to wrapping up.
Well, what comes to my mind is just how hopeful it is for our future generations that parents are starting to understand this, teachers are starting to understand this, and what a difference that will make moving forward. How, when Suad was talking, how it reminded me of, those intergenerational patterns now being interrupted because we're seeing things in a different way. Because I too have a hope that my grandchildren will get a better ride than my children. My younger ones, my youngest was only 6 months old when I started shifting in the way I was parenting. So I have some children that have been parented this way and others that weren't, and I can see the difference. And so, the hope is that the next generation will have this opportunity to grow up with their beautiful selves intact from us adults, that we'll be better able to hold space for them to be the beautiful souls that they are, rather than think that we have to change them into something that we believe they're meant to be, and instead trust that they're going to be exactly how they're meant to be, as long as we stay in our wisdom. So I just see so much hope from this session, because we're from across the globe, because everybody's coming from different spaces, but on the same page. Yeah, it's just hope. That's what I think it's all about.
Thank you, Catherine. That was beautiful. Harry, thank you as well. Thanks to Krista, to Maya, to all the people that shared with us their insights and beautiful wisdom, really. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And do you have something to share, Harry, as the last word before?
Well, just how much I enjoyed this format and this discussion and the feelings. I'm always touched. I guess I would say I wish there were more than just Omar here from the communities around the world that are Muslim and so on. But I must say I am deeply impressed with the female contribution. I don't mean it in a sexist way, but in the the wisdom of the women who are showing such courage and leadership. And that's what it is. It's leadership. You're leading people towards alleviating suffering, which is what Sid only cared about. And honestly, all I care about, anything that helps alleviate suffering. And when it comes to kids, who doesn't love them? Who doesn't love them? Definitely. And obviously here, awful lot of loving mothers, grandmothers, and even a single bachelor who has love for the kids and so on. A man who's going to be a good husband to his wife and bring up beautiful kids. And what an honor, Omar, to know that's what's waiting for you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have kids, Harry.
There'll be a piece of cake. You won't have anything to worry about. Yeah, it will be such an easy thing, and everything will
right.
be
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got Krista Campbell with me, and Catherine Jones, and Daniela, and everyone. So on that note, I'll tell you, have a good evening, morning, afternoon. For me, it's evening. It's almost 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. here in Casablanca. And so big love to you all, and see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.